The Scottish Cup 4th round is the best weekend in the footballing calendar. A weekend where a myriad of teams from all over the pyramid play against each other, where major shocks can happen as teams from the juniors can play against teams from the Premiership. Fans can get away days to teams they have never played against in the league, or even in a competitive fixture in the first place. Championship Dunfermline claimed victory against Premiership Hibs. League 1 Stenhousemuir battered Championship side Morton 4-0. Keemlin put in a decent effort against Elgin, and 6th-tier Auchinleck were able to hold Celtic to just a 2-0 victory for the visitors. But it was one of the more innocuous games that has ended up becoming the biggest news story of the round. That game is of course League 2 Stranraer versus Championship Queens Park. This was going to be Queens Park's second game of the year, both in total and also against League 2 opposition. All of their league games had been postponed up to this point, while their other League 2 opponent was forfeit in the Challenge Cup, in a game that also got postponed and moved back a week. Stranraer, meanwhile, are one of the more informed sides in the SPFL. A 7-game unbeaten run looks impressive on paper, but their last 4 were all draws. Still, this would not be easy for the Queen's Park side, who have been stuck towards the bottom end of the championship so far this season. Saturday morning would arrive, however, and due to the heavy rainfall on the Friday, a pitch inspection deemed the pitch unplayable, and once again, a Queen's Park game was postponed. The following day, however, was the draw for the next round, where the winners of this tie would face a trip to Ibrox, something which both sides would see a huge financial boost through ticket sales, prize money, and almost certainly TV money through being selected by Old Firm TV, Premier Sports. Tuesday would arrive though, and it was game time, but not before some issues. On Saturday, Stranraer had also announced that this cup game would be goalkeeper Josh Lane's last appearance, as he was going to be recalled by his parent club. On the Tuesday, however, he was recalled with immediate effect, meaning Stranraer had to scramble for a new goalkeeper. The parent club? Hamilton Accies. Yep, Accies are now causing issues for other clubs instead of keeping it to themselves. Why do you do this? Please be normal.
Just be normal.
On a short notice then, Lyndon Tass would join from Hearts on loan on a deal lasting for the rest of the season. This would be important. It would soon be kickoff though, and Queens Park would take the lead 10 minutes in after former Reef player Aidan Connolly's effort from the edge of the box found the bottom corner, giving cheer to those who made the 2-hour trek from the south side of Glasgow. On a pitch that was seemingly falling apart, both sides would have their chances, but half-time would arrive with the visitors still in the lead. The second half would come then, and just 3 minutes in, it turned out it wasn't just the pitch that was falling apart. The floodlights above the stands had failed. Players were then sent back down the tunnels while they searched the town for a sparky, and after a 30-minute delay, the lights would make a return, and so would the players. But this delay had very much changed the game. Similar to Super Bowl 47, the team that went into the delay behind would be rejuvenated, and 10 minutes later, Dominic Plank would be played through on goal and his deflected shot would fly past Callum Ferry, giving the League 2 side their equaliser. As the rain fell again, both teams would have their opportunities, with Stranraer hitting the post in extra time, but full time would come, and it was time for penalties. After 5 rounds of perfection from both sides, it would be time for sudden death. This wouldn't last long, as Lyndon Tass would make a massive save from Pignatello, while Lewis Hunter would smash his effort home and send Stranraer to the next round and for a big payday away at Ibrox. Also, this game therefore finished at 10:56pm. Remember, it's a 2-hour trip back to Glasgow. There was, however, a slight issue. Player eligibility rules. The rules for the Scottish Cup requires players that play in a rearranged fixture be the same players who were registered on the day of the original fixture, with an exemption for emergency loans. Lyndon Tass, meanwhile, was not an emergency loan. This was something that Queen's Park fans realised during the game, and soon it spread like wildfire. A complaint was made to the SFA, and the following Wednesday, the SFA found Stranraer guilty of breaching player eligibility rules, which carries the punishment of being kicked out of the cup. Stranraer's defence was that the rules require a team in the Scottish Cup have 2 goalkeepers in their squad, with Aki's recalling Josh Lane, it meant the club had 1 goalkeeper and so brought in Tas as soon as possible. Despite this seemingly harsh punishment, Stranraer accepted responsibility, seeing as Tas was a regular loan and not an emergency loan, even though it basically was one in all but name. Rules are rules, and this is the standard protocol. It is a strange coincidence though, as the last team to get kicked out of the Scottish Cup for fielding an ineligible player was Queens Park, who, despite a 2-0 victory away against Inverness, played on loan striker Ewan Henderson, who had joined from Hearts. Why is it always Hearts involved in this? Anyway, it should be noted that Inverness went on to reach the Scottish Cup final that season, and Queens Park are making a return to Ibrox, having made the short journey there last season. I wonder what happened there last time.
Header. Ball not clear yet, though. What a chance! What a goal! St Rhodes, who's just on the pitch. Queens Park lead at Ibrox Stadium. Captain, big puff of the cheeks. Tavernier, saved by Billy!
Oh, they have the opportunity to do something very funny, don't they?